Down, we all knew this was going to happen, but folks, we have breaking news that you need to hear about the fight to stop the massive gun control bill in Washington, D.C. This will make your blood boil. Aaron Dorr here, Chris Dorr here with the American Firearms Association. And guys, I think deep down, a lot of us always thought that the NRA was involved in the language in the big push in Washington, D.C. for gun control. It seemed odd that they were dead silent for 3 weeks in a row after Buffalo, after Uvalde. But guys, we have a live report from Patrick Parsons, our EVP in Washington, D.C. today. He has breaking news on this whole situation. We're going to get that in a few minutes here. But guys, again, this is a massive gun control bill. It is a federal red flag gun seizure bill via the states with $750 million in funding to bribe your state legislature to pass red flag laws. It raises it has a 10-day waiting period on all gun sales for Americans under the age of 21. It radically expands the Lautenberg Act and disarms Americans through misdemeanors by redefining what a dating relationship means. One of the worst of all. It targets our children. It targets our children with mental health labels in schools to make them prohibited before they're even old enough to buy a gun. And finally, a massive reclassification of what a firearms dealer is to make it all but impossible for private party sales to happen at gun shows anymore. This is the biggest gun control bill that we have seen on the floor of the Senate in decades. And we just found out that the NRA has had a direct role in drafting this bill. We're going to break all this down for you guys. Here's a few minutes, but for now, sound off. Let us know where you're watching from. It's our roll call. Let us know where you're watching from, guys. This is just going to make your blood boil. Chris, I wish I could say that we're surprised, but honestly, we have suspected this for a long time, but now we have the proof.
Yeah, I mean, I can throw Politico reporters tweet right up on here. In fact, let me do that really quickly.
Okay.
You guys can probably see it. Burgess Everett, I think he's the Politico correspondent at the on Capitol Hill. He says it right here. Cornyn gave a presentation at the GOP lunch today laying out conservative wins in the gun safety, gun control package, keeping out Dem items, focus on violent criminals. It also includes provisions that the presentation says the NRA asked for in the freaking bill. Right there, folks. John Cornyn was bragging about it today at the GOP lunch on Capitol Hill. That's U.S. Senate invite only. That means Burgess Everett. He's one of the most politically connected reporters on Capitol Hill. He has a free flow of information out of that place. They said it right there in the presentation. It was up on the PowerPoint for them all to watch as they're sitting there stuffing down, stuff that we can't afford anymore because it's like $29 for a freaking ribeye at your local grocery store. That's what they were openly bragging about. That's what Cornyn was bragging about today to all of these Republicans. There it is, folks, in black and freaking white.
So if you've been wondering why you haven't heard crap from the NRA for the last 3 weeks, why you haven't seen anything on their Facebook page condemning this, almost nothing on social media until 24 hours ago, this is the reason why. So here's how this works. They do a Facebook press release last night after the damn bill was literally on the Senate floor for its first procedural vote.
Right.
And then they say, oh, yeah, we don't like this. We don't like this. We don't like this. Folks, for 3 weeks, we've been on Capitol Hill. Chris has been there. I have been there. Patrick Parsons has been there. The entire AFA team working Capitol Hill, working with pro-gun members of Congress, trying all we can to keep the pressure on against this bill. And now we find out that the NRA has been drafting this stuff with John Cornyn the entire time. We're about to hit play here on a big video update We're going to pipe in Patrick Parsons. We actually had a live spot with him just a few minutes ago. We want you guys to get a firsthand report from Patrick. Chris, is now a good time for that? Should we hit play that now? Or you want to do it in a few minutes?
Before we bring him in, I just want to say one thing. So in the future, if this bill passes, and we're doing everything we possibly can to get this bill stopped right now before it becomes law, before President Biden signs this thing, in the future, when your kids ask you, Dad and Mom, these outlawed history books that you're having me read American history from, they talk about due process. What the hell is this, and why don't we have this anymore? For those of you who sit there and to this freaking day say stupid things like, if it wasn't for the NRA, we'd all be speaking Russian, take that stupidity and shove it right up your ass. Because these are the people who are sitting at the freaking table right now making this deal. I want to mention one other thing really quickly here. When the NRA came out last night and they said that they released their milquetoast statement, everybody was like, oh, well, the natural reaction by the gun rights community was, okay, is the NRA playing hardball here? Are these freaking Republicans, if they vote for this gun control, are the Republicans, is the NRA going to downgrade their ratings and go after them in the elections? Are they going to lose their A+ status? Will they stop getting millions of dollars from the NRA ILA PAC?
Nope.
Is this what the ramifications of this gun control vote will be? Now, here it is. This is from Stephen Gutowski. He's from The Reload. Check this out. I can swing over to it right here. He says the NRA is publicly opposed to this bill, but their statement opposing it is 3 paragraphs long and starts off with the things that they like about it. I've also asked the NRA if they plan to here's the golden question, everybody, right here. I've also asked the NRA if they plan to downgrade senators' ratings if they vote for the bill. They haven't responded, and they're not going to freaking respond because they have made requests of Cornyn for their stuff to get into the bill, and they did. They did. That's why none of these U.S. senators are going to be graded. None of them will pay a price by the NRA, by the NRA membership. The NRA is advocating for the politicians back to the people right now. They're selling you out. They're selling us all down the river, and they're effing over America in the process. So
and your kids and your grandkids, not just our generation. It's the ones that are coming behind us. And there's some guys in the comments, Gene Haren. Look, you can scream all you want and say that we're wrong, that we're lying, Gene.
Get out of here.
I don't know if you're 80 years old or if you're 8 years old, but you have to learn how to read, and you have to learn how to use Google. Chris just got done showing you all these screenshots. It's all over Politico.
Yes.
It's all over Twitter. It's all over Capitol Hill, as you're about to hear from Patrick Parsons. It's all over the place. This is not anything new now. Learn how to Google.
If it wasn't true, and John Cornyn is out here, and all these Democrats are out here, all these people are tweeting to these reporters that John Cornyn was actually in there with this up on the PowerPoint, John Cornyn would come out and say that's a total lie. He has not done that because it's all freaking true, every single word. So if you still believe that stuff, like I said before, get the hell out of here. This isn't, we're not trying to be we don't want to have the most number of people here at the American Firearms Association. We want the freaking best. And you're clearly not. So get the hell out of here. Anyway,
terrible stuff. You know, and before we get this clip here from our good friend Patrick Parsons, I just want to make sure that everybody watching understands this. That, you know, Chris and I we came out of, and we still are heavily involved in state level, the fight for state level gun politics.
We'll always
we passed constitutional carry all across the country, stand your ground law all across the country, the Second Amendment Preservation Act, the best of its kind in this country, and we've had these meetings. We've been in these rooms and we've watched the NRA come along and draft gun control as a condition of trying to get something else they wanted to get accomplished. We can give you stories of that in a little bit. It is not the first time. It is far, far from the first time. And again, we're going to show you guys this video clip right now. This is cut just maybe 45 minutes ago with Patrick Parsons live on Capitol Hill. It's about a 5-minute long clip. You need to see this. Here we go. Patrick, you've been on Capitol Hill much of the week, working in Washington, D.C., trying to put the brakes on this massive gun control bill. I want to ask you about that and where we are right now, the latest in D.C. But before you even get to that, we had some breaking news moments ago about Steve Dettelbach. What's the latest on that?
Yeah, Aaron. Steve Dettelbach, Biden's anti-gun ATF nominee to the ATF. Obviously, we just found out that nomination and the final vote, Schumer has moved that into July. So it's going to be at least a couple of weeks until we see that vote. It doesn't look great at this moment, but there's weeks between now and then. And everybody out there can hit stopdettelbach.com and just pound the Senate with emails and calls and let them know that this guy's no good. And there's just no reason whatsoever to put this guy as the head of the ATF.
Yeah, everyone I think knows this guy is David Chipman, rehashed David Chipman 2.0. So if we have some weeks to keep the pressure up, we're going to use them. So thank you for that. But the real question, the real story right now, of course, as you know firsthand in D.C., is what happened last night on the Senate floor. Chuck Schumer, John Cornyn, they're fist bumping with Susan Collins on the Senate floor, filed this massive gun control bill. And that wasn't the surprise. The surprise for many is the 14 Republicans who aided them in voting for that bill on a procedural vote last night. What are you hearing from the Freedom Caucus members, from the real pro-gun members of Congress on what's happening right now in D.C.?
Yeah, Aaron, I work both the House and the Senate today pretty heavily. Two words that come to mind. Number one is traitors, and number two is betrayal. These senators who voted for this massive gunnibus, as Congressman Thomas Massie of Kentucky calls it. That's actually the other bill he called. But these guys, they every single year they go and they ask gun owners for their votes, or every time they're up for re-election or election, and they just screwed gun owners. Period. Like you said, fist bumping with Chuck Schumer on the floor of the Senate. John Cornyn from Texas was overheard whispering, "Hey, we just got gun control. Now let's do amnesty." I mean, these guys clearly hate the people who vote them in. And betrayal, traitor. I'm hearing it all day long. Had over 10 meetings on the House side, and I've been talking to some Senate staff and others on the Senate side, Aaron. People are hopping mad, furious. I passed Congressman Chip Roy on the street earlier. I said, keep up the fight. He says, we're doing everything that we can. I mean, it is just day after day after day. The radical left comes after our Second Amendment rights. And when you have traitorous Republicans betray the Second Amendment, the very people who put them into office, it's a tough pill to swallow. But still, you run into these offices and you talk to staffers. I mean, they're just getting hammered. Tens and tens and tens of thousands of calls and emails and texts, social media posts from our members and supporters, just flooding these offices. So, yeah, keep it up. Absolutely.
One of the questions that we've been getting a lot, as you know, Patrick, for the last couple of days here is, where in the heck has the NRA been in this fight? And, I was there in D.C. with you most of last week. We had a whole team there working the halls of Congress. And what we heard over and over and over is that we haven't heard from, we haven't seen a NRA staff liaison in our offices in weeks, months. In some cases, they said ever. And so the real question, I think, for a lot of people right now is, this is a behemoth-sized organization that raises hundreds of millions of dollars a year from gun owners. And besides this tiny little presser last night they have been totally silent and totally AWOL when it comes to trying to stop this massive gun control bill. Do you believe right now in D.C. that inaction, their AWOL status, has made it that much easier for the John Cornyns of D.C. to screw us over?
Absolutely, Aaron. You know how much time we spend up here in D.C. walking the halls of Congress. It takes no more than a few days and a few decent sources, talking to staff, talking to members. The NRA was directly involved in writing this gun control bill. And you mentioned the word a second ago, and that's silence. Sure, they came out yesterday and they said, oh, we're opposed to this. But you talk to any of these staffers, they were on all the calls. They were inserting language and amendments that they wanted in the bill. And I talked to a 25-year Senate vet the other day who talked to someone in Cornyn's office, who works in John Cornyn's office. with ironclad proof that the NRA was on these calls. Yes, they're the behemoth. They're hundreds of millions of dollars. And for 2.5, 3 weeks, while this gun control push was happening, they remained publicly silent. What that meant, and we were warning our members on email and on this show, what that meant is that they were in the negotiations. They were cutting a deal that's unacceptable. That's why organizations like the American Firearms Association are growing as we are. And I encourage everybody out there, come on over and join up at joinafa.org and get on board. I have ironclad 100% proof that these guys were working behind the scenes to write this gun control bill.
I gotta tell you, I honestly didn't know that. That was news to me. I'm not surprised. We've seen it for decades at the state level where I came out of, but I guess I didn't know this recent intel that we have confirmation now. NRA helped to write this bill. I mean, it's not a surprise because John Cornyn and people like that always turn to the NRA to give them cover. I think one of the questions that you were asking on Capitol Hill was, has anybody heard if the NRA will give people letter grade docs in their endorsements? I think the answer you said so far is no, they're not going to hold anybody accountable for this. This is why it's being greenlit and why 14 Republicans could stab us in the back just last night.
Yeah, and I think this is what, if you're just out there watching all across the country on nearly 24 channels that we're broadcasting this on to gun owners, guys, that's one thing on Capitol Hill. It's called grading. There's organizations like the Heritage Foundation, all these people, they'll grade votes and they'll say up or down, you're going to get a bad vote or a good vote on this. And when a big organization like that remains silent, that's consent, right? Silence is consent. And the staffers up here on Capitol Hill, the members, they look at that stuff. Okay. And sometimes that's all they look at. And when there's nothing there, that gives them, and that's what happened on the Senate side. You got Cornyn and you got Lindsey Graham, you got all these people. They're not scared. 8 of the 10 of these core Republican senators who negotiated this gun control bill are A or A plus rated by the NRA. So,
exactly.
We can beat on these guys all day long. That is exactly what happened. Thankfully for organizations like ours, we're blowing the whistle on this betrayal here on Capitol Hill. But look, it's a war. It's 50-50 in the Senate. You've got 12 or 13 or 14 traitorous Republicans. I saw Rand Paul today is going to be offering and fighting for a number of amendments on this bill. But think about how this bill was written, and in the dead of night, nobody knew what was going on behind the scenes. Republican and Democrat staffers. I mean, this is the swamp on steroids, and it is exactly what happens when our Second Amendment rights get screwed. So when the NRA supported the bump stock ban, when they supported fixed NICS, when they supported red flags 3 years ago, we have all the proof and evidence to show that their silence. And we could go on and on, Aaron, but it's pretty terrible.
Well, man, I know you're busy right now in DC. I'm going to ask you one last question, kind of an update on timing on this. We had the rush procedural vote last night in DC. We have a cloture vote coming tomorrow, which begins the clock on floor action. What are you hearing right now? What are you seeing for a floor vote in the Senate on this monster omnibus gun control bill?
Yeah, Aaron, it's looking like Thursday or Friday. I was in, like I said, multiple House offices today. I speak to some of their schedulers. Oftentimes, you'll figure out exactly what's going on by talking to the schedulers. Many of them are scheduling Saturday flights for House members. So either A, this goes late on Friday night, could spill into the weekend. But most importantly, guys out there, I also talk to other staffers who are getting those emails that are pounding in. Keep up the emails at stopredflags.com. Keep up the calls, 202-224-3121. Keep in the fight, and keep the heat on up here on Capitol Hill.
And if I'm correct on this, Patrick, if for some reason this gets delayed into the weekend, they have a 2-week vacation coming up. Now, Pelosi's announced she'll hold the House in Congress late, but if there was to be a delay, it would give us 2 more weeks to keep the pressure on if that was to happen, correct?
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's what we can hope for. I mean, and that's why we're asking everybody to take action, and just keep the heat on.
Well, man, I know you're busy right now. Thanks a lot for the live update on Capitol Hill, and we'll keep our members informed, keep the pressure up on that side. And as you guys heard from Patrick, the real pressure is always, besides our team in Capitol Hill, like Patrick and others, it's your calls, your emails. You're hearing it from Patrick firsthand. The staff is getting these emails. The members are hearing from their district, from AFA members. We got to keep that pressure up, and we'll keep that going nonstop. Patrick, thanks a lot for your time, man. We'll be in touch with you later on tonight. Take care.
Okay, good to see you.
Does that make your blood boil? Does that make your blood boil? Firsthand reporting, the NRA is all over this bill. So if you wondered why 14 Senate Republicans felt they were okay with voting for this last night, if you thought that was a shock, now you know why. Now we all know why. And we had the list here, Chris. I'm trying to pull up here right now. 14 Senate Republicans backed this on the floor last night. We had the list for you here. It was sent out an email earlier today. But in case you missed that, Roy Blunt from Missouri, Richard Burr from North Carolina, Shelley Capito from West Virginia, Bill Cassidy, Louisiana, Susan Collins from Maine, Cornyn from Texas, Joni Ernst from Iowa, Lindsey Graham, South Carolina, Mitch McConnell, Kentucky, Lisa Murkowski from Alaska, Rob Portman from Ohio, Mitt Romney from Utah, Tom Tillis, North Carolina, and Todd Young from God's country, Indiana. These 14 Senate Republicans were the ones that voted on this bill last night. And Chris, you were saying that Pat Toomey would have been a yes vote as well. He was not present last night. We may see even more Republicans support this on the cloture vote tomorrow and the final vote that might take place as early as Thursday or Friday. And now we know why, because the NRA has said it's okay. It's all right. You can go for it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And, so what we just heard from Patrick there is on any other normal gun bill, the people are doing their jobs. AFA is doing their jobs. Our people are pounding these legislative offices with massive gobs of voter contacts, right? I mean, they're getting phone calls, they're getting emails. Patrick is telling me about some of these offices that he's walking into. Their phones are just glowing. And I've been in like Marjorie Taylor Greene's office before when the left was doing it. That's exactly what the right is doing right now on this gun control. We're lighting up their phones. But these bastards, these traitors, those 14 or 15, if you would have counted Toomey, they're doing this because they've already worked out the freaking deal with $6 million Wayne LaPierre. I said this the other night on our video, and it's truer now than it was even then. But all that would have had to have happened here for this stuff to die completely is for Wayne LaPierre to go outside of his tens of $1 million penthouse down in Arlington, or where I think he's down in Texas now. And he could have gone outside. He could have laid by his insane infinity pool, and he could have been laying there in his boxers. He could have gone live on his Facebook, on his phone, and said, if any of you Republican bastards vote for this stuff, you're not only going to lose your A+ ratings, but we're going to spend every dime that we were going to spend in this election cycle on getting primary opponents to axe your asses out. And I guarantee you, in a state like Texas, what's his name?
Cornyn.
John Cornyn. The dude would be a walking zombie if the NRA came in and said, this guy is a human piece of garbage. He's totally sold us out on gun rights. Let's go big, Texas. Let's boot this bastard out of here. And it would have been over. They would have had 5 Republicans that are retiring that they maybe could have peeled off on this. Wayne LaPierre could have shot another video that said, no, Rob Portman in Ohio, if you do this, I'm going to come to Ohio and I'm going to trash your name for all eternity. People will curse the ground that you walk on for the rest of their lives. It could have all been stopped. There was no reason for any kind of a negotiation here other than the fact that the NRA has become the establishment. They have become part of the political class. I read an article a little while back about how so many of the NRA's staff is now married to Capitol Hill staffers that there's no daylight between them anymore. all the staffers are getting jobs on the Hill, and people, when they leave the Hill, they're getting jobs in the NRA, becoming high-paid lobbyists in states all across the country. They have become this incestuous melting pot of compromise, and gun owners are the ones who are getting screwed over here. Again, this all could have been stopped.
Yeah, and the thing is there's so many more behind the scenes ways, other ways that if you had that kind of a budget from gun owners all across America, how you could fight this.
Gosh.
Wayne LaPierre could hop on his private jet, parachute into Missouri, and do a video in the Capitol in Missouri and say Roy Blunt's wife is a career-long lobbyist in D.C. His son is a career-long lobbyist. So is his daughter-in-law. And Roy is going to retire into a K Street job that is widely known on Capitol Hill. And Wayne can sit right up there and say, you know what? Any company who touches this family for the rest of time is on our list. And we will tell every single member that we have to avoid your company, to avoid any clients that you have, and burn you at the stake. He could then fly right into Columbus, Ohio, where everybody knows Rob Portman is preparing for a presidential run in the upcoming Republican Party primary. Everyone in Ohio and in D.C. knows that. He could stand right there, do a video, and say, Rob Portman, we will burn your career at the stake if you vote for this. Your attempt to become president, it's already done because I say it is. That is the kind of flexing, that is the kind of fighting, that is the kind of tactics that should be being employed. And instead, you've heard nothing, and now again, we know why. It's because they are the ones that helped to write this bill. So, guys, if you want to get involved in an organization that's not going to sit there and screw you like that, I'm going to tell you right now, you've got to get involved with the American Firearms Association. Join AFA.org. We always read off as many new member names as we can. We're going to read off some of those here momentarily. This is our brand new membership t-shirt and decal. Get involved in the fight with an organization that's actually working on Capitol Hill, that's actually trying to stop gun control, that's not sitting there making deals that your grandkids are going to look back and they're going to curse us for being okay with this. They're going to hate us that we sat back as not this audience. You guys are on fire, but for all the rest of the gun owners out there who sit back and say, it's okay, NRA is going to take care of this. Those people's grandkids are going to look back on these days and they're going to curse their grandparents' generation for being so lethargic, for being so pathetic, and for and trusting these people while our freedoms burned to the ground. Guys, get involved immediately. I think, Chris, we've got a bunch of new membership names. You can read them off now, read them off later, whatever we want. But
I've got some new members here, and as always, my brothers from Ohio are coming in right out of the gate. Rodney from Huber Heights checking in. He just became a member of the American Firearms Association. Tamara Wells checking in from the lovely Savannah, Georgia. I love River Street down there. Fantastic place, all up and down Abercorn. We've got Illinois in the house. Curtis from Staunton, Illinois, in here tonight. Welcome to this organization. We will never let you down. We will never stab you in the back, and we will never compromise away your freedoms and pretend that we have the right to do that. So thank you, Danny from Molina, Georgia, for joining in. And then we have Lois or Louie. I'm not sure which one it is. Probably up there in Massachusetts in the occupied territory of, how do you Siankasenset. Okay, that's all the more I can do. But man, you just made a commitment there. We appreciate it. Thank you so much for jumping on board with the American Firearms Association. So, but I want to draw your attention to one other person. And as long as Wayne LaPierre is sitting there in Ohio, everybody from Ohio knows that Portman is from Southwest Ohio. While Wayne LaPierre is there in Southwest Ohio, he can jump on an Uber or a taxi, go right across the river and do the exact same thing to Mitch McConnell. Let's not forget who Mitch McConnell is here. Not only is he the most powerful Republican in the U.S. Senate, but his wife is the daughter of a Chinese shipping magnate, and the family actively gets loans from the freaking CCP to build the ships that they're using to funnel money or goods and stuff back and forth between communist China and America. These people are corrupt as the day is long. And I hope that's not a little too far down the rabbit hole for some of these people. But if you think these people are always working for us or listening to us, no, they have ulterior motives all up and down the board here. But yeah, Wayne LaPierre could have stopped it easily had he just done the job he has paid millions and millions of dollars a year to do. So it's a damn shame. That's what it is. But we need to keep up the fight, need to keep up the pressure, and keep hammering on these suckers. Because far be it from us to sit here and say, "Oh, we're going to give up." That's not the American way. Hell, if that was the case, if that was the American way, we never would have been America. George Washington would have looked at the most powerful military on the planet and the most powerful navy on the planet and said, "Oh, we give up." No. We keep fighting. We fight forward. And if they take ground, we make them pay for every single inch. That's the American Firearms Association way. We got to keep it up.
Because this is not the end of the road. That's the point here. This is not the end of this attack on our gun rights. This is just their first salvo right now. The very moment that Joe Biden's pen dodders across the bill, if it gets to his desk, if it is signed into law, the very day you're going to see emails from Everytown for Gun Safety, Moms Demand Action, all of them, and they're going to say, all right, now we got this. Now it's time to go for the AR-15s. Now it's time to go for all mags over 10 rounds. Now it's time for a national gun registry. We have the Republican Party on their heels. The NRA is too afraid to oppose us. We just got the biggest victory that we've seen as gun grabbers in decades. Now is the time for us to press all the way. Look, they know they're going to lose their congressional majority in November. It's almost, nothing's guaranteed in politics, but they believe that it's a done deal, and they very well might be right. They're going all the way. It's a kamikaze mission. They don't care how many names, how many members they lose. These people play for keeps. These are worldview ideologue enemies. And you know what? They had no problem losing their majorities for Obamacare. They didn't care. They wanted the policy. They did not have any problem losing Congress in 94 with the AR-15 ban. They wanted the policy. And they want the policy now.
And don't forget, Pelosi has already said that after this vote is done, you see, this has to pass out of the Senate. They're going to send it over to the House. They will pass it there, and it's going to go straight to Biden. She has already said that after this is done, she's putting the assault weapons ban on the floor. Okay? Again, and just look what all of the lefties like David Hogg and Moms Demand Action and all these different organizations are saying. They're saying this is a good start. This isn't everything that we want. This is a good start. And just like we saw with the bump stock ban, which is why we were totally opposed to that from the outset, once the ball starts rolling, they continue to freaking push it. And that's exactly what they're going to do here.
Especially in this case, because all of these bills, all of the items rather contained in this bill is designed to be expanded. The red flag gun seizure thing is designed to be expanded with more federal money. The new way of defining what a dating relationship means, this Lautenberg expansion, they can keep opening that up over and over and over. Targeting juveniles and making them prohibited as children can be expanded over and over and over. This is not the end of the road. We have got to continue to fight as hard as we possibly can and send a message that we will not ever back off of this, because you know what, folks, there's no getting our freedoms back at all. There's nothing. There's nowhere else to go. There's no country on earth that has an individual right to keep and bear arms anymore. This is the last country on earth where we, the people, gave the permission to our government to rule with the consent of the governed. And if we ever lose our firearms, that's it. That consent will no longer be a factor, and we'll just immediately slide into chaos anarchy, and tyranny. And you know what? For those who said this is hyperbole, you guys are being sensational. For God's sakes, man, read a freaking history book. Look at what happened. Look at recent. Look at Venezuela. They banned all the guns a couple years ago, and now I think you can see it on Google. Fox News, for heaven's sakes. The President Maduro back in 2018 had killed hundreds of his own political opponents, murdered them in their homes, murdered them in their beds. Do you think it never happened here? It's delusional. It's delusional to think that way.
And we've said this here till we're blue in the face. None of this has ever been about saving innocent lives. It's never been about saving innocent kids. These are the people who support late-term abortion up to and through the moment of birth. They give nothing. They care not at all for innocent human life. And because of that, we know that what they're after here is really exactly what Tucker Carlson said the other night. It is a total agenda to disarm their political opponents. And in the last 125 years, over 42 million political dissidents have been murdered by their governments. Okay. And this is an old tactic that goes back millennia. If you think we're at this enlightened, brand new state of progress in the world globally, that people wouldn't be interested in pursuing this stuff anymore, you're just dreaming. That's exactly what they want. It's exactly what they want. And in all of this stuff is feeding into this. They're wrecking these are the same people who are destroying our economy. Right. These are the same people who botched the last 2 years. A lot of these people are the same ones who went right along with the totalitarian lockdowns, where they told you that you didn't even have the right to go and provide for your families. These people are orchestrating all of this stuff, and they're bringing this stuff all together at this time for a reason. We got to fight back as hard as we possibly can. Is there a troll in the comment section?
Yeah, I think we got one on here right now.
Like, which one is it?
I think it's Gene, Little Genie.
Yeah, Little Genie. There's always one of these people, right? They're like the ultimate Facebook warriors. And if you look at them right now, if you could see like a live cam on them, and I'm gonna ban him here shortly. Is it where is he? Gene? Yeah. If you could see a live cam on them right now, I'm gonna hide that. What you would see is
not sure you want to say this, Chris, out loud.
Well, what you would see, well, that's true. You'd see a blob of human mass that's either like 490 pounds or 64 pounds, and they're sitting there behind this. They have bags and bags of Doritos all around them, and it's just
in his underwear.
Yeah, just
in his mama's house.
He'd be shouting out, "Mom, how about that meatloaf?" You know, that's exactly what he'd be doing right now. But there's always a tough guy like this in every crowd. But
so, guys, we got to keep the pressure on, guys.
Yeah.
We have a pre-written email in the comment section for you right now. It goes right to your congressman on the House side, to both of your senators. It is customized to your Republican or Democratic members. Keep that pressure on. This is still being haggled on right now in the Capitol. Nothing is over until it's over. Keep the pressure on. Make the phone calls. That's the thing. Don't just do one email,
right,
then call, then hit them on Facebook and make your voice heard. Giving you guys the Capitol switchboard number here now. I always forget to get this pulled up before we go live, but get on the phone tomorrow as well as the email and make your voice heard. The phone number 202-224-3121. Again, that's 202-224-3121. This is the Capitol Hill switchboard. It covers both chambers, and you guys can rock and roll, get your voice heard. Call them, email them, hit them on Facebook, go after it over and over and over. What are you saying, Chris?
And here's why, everybody. Breaking news. This is 10 minutes ago. Again, this is from Politico's chief congressional correspondent. I think he's with CNN. Here it is. Senate votes around noon tomorrow to break a filibuster and advance the gun control package. Okay, so this filibuster vote is going to happen tomorrow. And this is a weak spot in this bill. A lot of times it's easy for us to sit here and think to ourselves, oh, well, there's no stopping this. But this right here, the filibuster vote, this is where these Republicans who support this gun control are going to be actively screwing over their colleagues. And these they're always working to build these relationships. These Republicans are going to be taking the side of the radical Democrats in order to screw over their Republican colleagues from other states. So pound on them tonight, tomorrow. At noon is this filibuster vote. It's another choke point here where we have an opportunity to outsize our power. So keep hammering on them as much as you possibly can. Make no mistake about it. This entire gun control package is like a legislative drone strike on the Constitution. We got to keep that in mind. We got to hammer back on these people. Fight without failing. Fight without getting tired. Don't let up. Don't give in. Don't back down. These bastards are trying to take over our country and destroy this country. So let that give you the energy you need to keep on going, keep fighting, like your kids and grandkids are depending on you to do. So
one last big roll call here. All the new members that are, we can't get them all tonight. There's so much happening right now, but a big shout out to Edward in New York State. Just joined up at joinafa.org. Ryan in a town in Washington State I can't even pronounce. I'm not even going to try. Thank you very much for that, Ryan. And I just want to say, when you see patriots behind the wall, in a place like New York, in a place like Washington State, getting involved in this fight, guys, thank you. You know what this is. You're already in conquered territory in many ways, and this is about much more than just any one state now. This is about our entire country, the future that we all have for our kids. Thank you. Richard from Mesa, Arizona, just joined up at joinafa.org. Mark with a very generous membership from Dunwoody, Georgia, just joined up tonight. Appreciate that. Joshua from International Falls, Minnesota. Chris, I know you've done some political work in and around International Falls. Long time, long
been
drive.
Everywhere, man.
Susan,
everywhere.
Lansdale, Pennsylvania, just joined up a few minutes ago. The batches are being sent to us, but it takes time to populate, so we can't get them all done tonight. Thank you very much. Keep the pressure on. Just don't forget, the NRA is screwing you over. They're taking your money. They're selling your freedom for shit, for nothing, for garbage. In Washington, D.C., giving John Cornyn the chance to negotiate away all of your rights, teamed up in bed with Chuck Schumer. Never forget this level of betrayal. Never, ever give them a dime again. Fire off your emails. Make your phone calls. Hit these people on Facebook, guys. Get involved in the fight today at joinafa.org. Be back with more information for you guys tomorrow. Take care. Have a great night.